moving on from this one, there's another battle going on in the Premier League, and that's with Manchester United. You look at Manchester United squad, and you look at Anthony playing first 4 games of the season. Anthony has been a regular player for Manchester United, and you ask yourself, why then, with how poor Anthony has been in his returns for the club, and then how the manager has been criticizing Sancho, even in the media and all of that, is the manager justified in his criticism of a player, or do you think he's being too hard on that player? First of all, let me take it from you first. Do you think Ten Hag is right to criticize him?
No, he's not right. Because I think both of them have been piss poor. So I think he is. How do I explain this now? He is right to be hard on Sancho, but he is also meant to be hard on Anthony because both of them have been very, very poor. Kali, in order to buttress the point so that you understand how poor these guys are, let me read out some statistics for you so that you understand how poor these guys have been. Okay, Anthony has been with the club since 2022. This should be the second season, if I'm not mistaken. And Anthony has played 43 games for Man U across the competition. I'm not going to go in details each competition. He has only scored 7 goals and 2 assists. That's poor, and for such amounts, Now let's go to Sancho. Sancho has been with the club since 2021 to 2023. This is his 3rd season. Sancho has played a total games of 78 games across the competition. And Sancho has scored only 11 goals and 6 assists. Remember, we just finished Pepe on 112 and the number of goals. Now, you can imagine this set of players also almost on similar amounts. So, this is, both of them have been poor. I can't even isolate one. This is 7 goals, this is 11 goals, this is 43 games played, this is 78 games played. So, both of them should be in the same, if you're being hard on Sancho, you should also be hard on Anthony because he has been poor also. So I don't think Ten Hag is right isolating one player. Both of them should be getting that stick if you're going to do that. That's what I feel.
Femi, what is Anthony giving that United team that Sancho isn't giving them?
Well, when a manager buys a player, and we have that problem at Arsenal at the minute. We had it with William, didn't we? When Arteta bought him, he rammed him down our throats, even though he wasn't performing. Everyone saw it clearly until eventually it was too obvious. He had to tear the contract out. Sancho wasn't brought to the club by Ten Hag, so it's very clear that except you're performing at a high level, the manager is usually not going to have your back. Now, some good managers may turn things around. If you look at Bissouma at Spurs, the manager told him, he can be a leader for the club, and look at what he's doing. Even though he was in the reserve, he was not playing games last season. It was Oidberg that was playing the games. So for me, I suppose what it brings at first is the confidence of the manager, Anthony, and the price tag as well. So the manager has gone and invested a lot of money in him, and so he has to back him. That's just the way it works most times, and we have that same problem right now. But what I was hoping for, in terms of what the manager is doing to Sancho, is, has he had that conversation with him in private or not? Because that's what you want to be thinking of. Before you go and criticize somebody publicly, have you had private conversations with them to say, look, your training is not up to scratch. You need to really, really ram it up. These are your stats. This is what we require of you. And if he's had that conversation in private and Sancho has continued to frustrate him, then in the end, if they're asking him why he's not in the team, then you could say it's because you get frustrated. I would not still reel it out in public. I mean, I like the way Wenger used to treat things. He would say Ozil is ill for this week. That's it. Wenger will find an excuse, and we knew it was an excuse, but you don't have any proof, so you can't do anything about it. Wenger used to defend his players a lot. That's what most managers.
Even a Pep would say it's based on the strategy of the day. So he doesn't give you any.
Even Arteta at night of Aubameyang's problem. So it's
it's the strategy of the day. He has no excuse for that.
You have to protect your players. So I'm not sure Ten Hag is done well. It's not a Mourinho there that throws his players under the bus. And I'm not that kind of a person personally. But my key question is, has he had those conversations in private, and has Sancho continued to frustrate him by not training to the level required? But Sancho, in his own statement, said he has been a scapegoat and that this has been ongoing. So there seems to be something between the two of them there that they've not really still told us publicly. So in the end, I would say Sancho brings the confidence of the manager that probably brought him there before, but he doesn't have that manager anymore. So Anthony has the manager's confidence right now. That's what he brings. And it goes back to the idea of what we're talking about, Pepe. And if the manager doesn't really fancy you so much, no matter what you produce, if it's not good enough, it's not going to back you. So I think that's the problem there. It's not his man. And most managers want to stamp their authority on the squad so that other players can know that if you're not doing what I want, then regardless of your price tag, sorry, you may not actually do. And we all remember he did worse to Ronaldo. And Ronaldo is a bigger player than Sancho. So Sancho may not win this battle, unfortunately. There was even talk of him going to Saudi Arabia. I mean, before the season, before their window
closed.
Exactly. So that's the problem there, I suppose.
You know, Femi just touched on something interesting, and I wanted to weigh in on that. Yes, we have examples of managers who will never throw their players on the bus. You know, they will never ever criticize their players openly, even though they will do it, you know, internally and all of that. But why does United keep having this kind of issues? First of all, it was there was a time as Alex Ferguson and Beckham, David Beckham. There was a time it was that. There was a time Alex Ferguson and Wayne Rooney. Then there was a time that was Pogba and Mourinho. Now and then Ten Hag and Ronaldo. Now Ten Hag and Sancho. Why always United? Let me use that famous line. Why always Manchester United?
Listen, it's a fair thing to say, but I think you have to also put it into context that everything that happens to Manchester United is always magnified, right? You know, they are a much bigger brand than a lot of other clubs, you know, so
I think are magnified because of the things the manager or the players are saying to the press.
I think it just comes with the package, right? If you're a manager for Manchester United, you're a manager for, you know, Barcelona or Real Madrid, you know, PSG or Man City, you know, journalists work extra hard to find, you know, those little things under the carpet, right? So that they can magnify it. I think I won't be surprised if other clubs don't have a similar sort of thing. Now, if you look at Brighton and Caicedo, if Caicedo was in Manchester United and he had that thing where he posted, you know, on LinkedIn to say, I needed to leave for my family and all of that, it could have been a much bigger story, right? Because it was Brighton, made some noise and then it quieted down. I think, you know, when you look at what is happening to Anthony and Ten Hag, you know, there are always three sides to a story. You know, Anthony's side, Ten Hag's side, and the truth. Somewhere, you know, in the middle is what's really happening. And it's really unfortunate, right? Because what you want to be doing is talking about football. You want to talk about what the player's capability is. You don't want to be talking about something behind the scenes, you know, and it seems like there's a lot behind the scenes in this particular scenario, because you can see that the skills are not balanced between how the manager speaks about one player compared to another. It's really a mess, right? Now they've put the player on leave right now. You know, I mean, we're talking about Sancho now, but, you know, they've put, you know, Sancho's situation with Manchester United is leading towards them putting him on leave as well, if they haven't put him on leave already. So now you're now looking at a player that is on your team that can't contribute. You've got another player that cannot contribute because it's been put on leave. We're talking about Anthony. You know, now you're beginning to think, well, and these are players that have come in for a substantial amount of money and should be contributing. So again, you now look at it and say, well, is the manager managing his players properly? You know, in terms of weighing between, you know, how do I continue to win and how do I continue to manage the squad of players that I have? I just think that, you know, Manchester United is a big club. So obviously things will get magnified. But like the guys have said, I feel like, certain things could have been done slightly differently, without putting everything out there into the public domain.
Well, I hear you loud and clear. But at the end of the day, it's United problem to solve. I wish them all the best as they deal with their matters.